Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Tassos Kilimos. Happy to be joining you guys for another edition of NBA Player Prop Parlay right here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. Happy Friday, everybody. You did it. You made it to the end of the week. I know, first week back to work after the holidays for a lot of people. Kind of a slug to get through, so you made it. It's Friday. The weekend's here. Hope you guys had a decent week and hope the new year is treating you well so far. If this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, join the Guy Boston Sports community. If it isn't your first time here, welcome back. We have a 4-leg parlay today to share with you guys. Very excited to share this with you. Let's just dive right in. All right, guys, so as always, I use DraftKings as my sportsbook of choice. If you'd like to try it out on something different, you want to check out FanDuel, or you use FanDuel and you shop, you can always shop around for odds. You can try and see if you can find some of the props, maybe better odds. I will be honest, some of the props you will not be able to find if you're not using DraftKings, just to let that be known right from the get-go. But starting off, first leg of our 4-leg parlay, we are targeting the Utah Jazz Boston Celtics game at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to go ahead and take John Collins here over 13.5 points plus rebounds, a combo prop. It's a prop that's going to surprise a lot of people how much he's been hitting this season. So let's go over here and kick this to the Outlier screen. By the way, guys, this show is brought to you by Outlier. When you use the link in our description below, you get a 7-day free trial to try this service out for yourself. It is the best sports betting tool on the market. You will not regret it. I'm not really going to give you an ad read because I'm just going to show you this whole video. I'll be bouncing back and forth from the Outlier screen, so you will be able to take a look here. And I honestly can't believe that this prop has flown under the radar. Now, the odds are higher, right? It is minus 210. But I cannot believe how under the radar this prop has flown. He is hitting this at a 97% hit rate this year. How we missed this, how this was never brought up, I don't know. Maybe because the odds are over 200, so people don't want to touch it. But minus 210 odds. He's hit this in 30 out of 31 games this season for Utah. Unbelievable hit rate, 97% hit rate. Now, there is no head-to-head data right now versus Boston. He is obviously with a new team, but this season he's been hit. The only time this year he has failed to hit this number was on December 26th against San Antonio. He had 7 points and 4 rebounds, but every other game against every other opponent, he's hit it. And that's why, now you look over the right side of the screen, you're going to see that it's not a great defensive matchup for him. Now, right there, power forwards, right? They don't give a lot of points. Celtics are middle of the road in rebounds allowed to the power forward position, but they don't give up a ton of points. But honestly, it doesn't bother me. And the reason why it doesn't bother me is they played good defenses on here. They played good defenses, and they've just still prevailed. You know, I'm not going to say they have the toughest schedule in the league, but, you know, they've played good teams along the way, and he still covered this number. And that's why it's like, you know, to me, it doesn't really matter that, you know, he either playing the Celtics. Like I said, it is a tough matchup. It'll be a little tougher to hit, but he's hitting this at such an alarmingly high rate this season. I have to take this prop. He's only missed it once this year. 97% hit rate. He hit it at a 77% hit rate last season. You look at last year's numbers. Now, this was with Atlanta, 60 out of 78 games. So even last year, he was hitting at a higher rate. But this year is just ridiculous. 97% hit rate. That's all I really need to show you guys to convince you in this prop. Minus 210. That is the first leg of our parlay, and it's a beauty. All right, guys, moving right along here, we're going to be targeting the Brooklyn Nets Oklahoma City Thunder game for the second leg of our parlay. That game kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We are going with Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder over 17.5 points plus assists. We're going to kick it back to the Outlier screen here, and you'll see, again, we like to follow trends here. 9 of his last 10 games, he has hit this over of 17.5 points plus assists. So really consistent hit rate. You see, even against a great defensive team like Boston, he had 14.7 assists. Chet Holmgren's having an incredible rookie year. He's going to win Rookie of the Year for OKC. He's not destroying. He's not putting MVP numbers or anything like that, but he's having a fantastic season. The only time he didn't hit this was his last game versus Atlanta. He had 12 points and 1 assist, but he's been hitting this at a pretty consistent rate overall in the year. 9 out of 10. And you go on the year as a whole, again, 67% hit rate, 22 out of 33 games. You saw, you know, more in the beginning of the year, you saw a few more misses, but of late, you saw he had it in 9 consecutive games leading into that Atlanta game. If you want to go even further than that, he has hit this in 11 of his last 13 games. So he has been balling out. I like the prop here for Chet Holmgren. And again, kind of similar to the John Collins one, not a hugely great defensive matchup. You look at there, Brooklyn's kind of middle of the road defensively versus big men. They are actually top 10 defensively against bigs. So not the best defensive matchup, but again, neither is Boston, neither is some of the other teams that they have played. And when you look at the head-to-head hit rate here, now he's played Brooklyn one time this season back on December 31st, just last week, last Sunday, and he had 18 points and 3 assists. So he already hit this number against this same Brooklyn team once. I think he can do it again. So Chet Holmgren, over 17.5 points plus assists. That is the second leg of our 4-leg parlay. And staying right in the outlier screen, guys, we're going to the third leg of our parlay. We're targeting the Atlanta Hawks Indiana Pacers game, which kicks off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going with Saddiq Bey over 17.5 points plus rebounds. Get that at minus 230 odds on DraftKings. Again, tell me what you see here. It's a lot of green. 9 of his last 10 games, 90% hit rate. Saddiq Bey has hit this, including 8 in a row. He has cashed this over of 17.5 points plus rebounds. And if you look at the 2023 season as a whole, he's hitting it at a 73% hit rate. That's 24 out of 33 games. And obviously, if you've been following the NBA this season, you know that the Indiana Pacers, they are a defensive disaster. They give up the second most points in the NBA. Only Washington gives up more points this season. And when you look at their matchup versus small forwards, you look at that. They are second worst team in points allowed to the small forward position and second worst rebounds allowed to the small forward position. So a great defensive matchup for Saddiq Bey. The last two props were not the best defensive matches, but they're just great players on great trends. This is a great player on a great trend against a great defensive matchup. And you look at the head-to-head numbers in the last two meetings versus Indiana, one of which took place this year on November 21st, the last one taking place on March 25th of last year. Each of the last two times they met, Saddiq Bey has hit this over. Again, the one time that he faced them this year, which is the appropriate stat to look at, he cashed this. So a great spot here for Saddiq Bey. I expect him to hit this. Again, he's hit this in 9 of his last 10, 73% hit rate on the year. It's a great trend. It's a great prop to ride. That is the third leg of our 4-leg parlay. All right, guys, we are going to hang out right here on the outlier screen. We're going to stay right in here for the fourth and final leg of today's parlay. We are targeting the Toronto Raptors at Sacramento Kings game, which kicks off at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're looking at Scottie Barnes of the Toronto Raptors to go over 17.5 points. And you see there, you get it at minus 230 odds. And again, 90% hit rate in his last 10 games. All of these guys, all 4 of these props are at a 90% hit rate in their last 10 games. He's hit this consecutively, 6 straight games. Scottie Barnes has hit this. And I think it's a very important prop to look at because the Raptors are a different team now. They got rid of OG Anunoby. They brought in Quickly and Barrett, but these are all new pieces. Scottie Barnes is arguably the best player on this Raptors team right now. He's one of their most important players, obviously. I expect him to cash this again. He's hit this over in 9 of his last 10 games. And on the season as a whole, he's hitting it at a 68% hit rate, 23 out of 34 games. But more importantly, look at this. Look at right here. Look at all of this green. He had a little bit of a slump in the earlier part of the season, but he is on a hot streak. And if you go and look at his last 20 games, 15 of his last 20 games, 75% hit rate. Look at this trend he's on right now. Only one time since December 8th, in the last month, has he failed to cash this over, which was on December 22nd against the Sixers. He had 12 points. One time in the last month has he failed to cash this over. So great spot here. And defensively, Sacramento, they give up, they're kind of middle of the road, give up about 20.5 points per game to the small forward position. So not a horrible defensive matchup, but right in the middle. Overall, they are a bottom 10 team in points allowed. They give up 117 points per game to opposing teams. So a really solid matchup. And if you look at the head-to-head for Scottie Barnes, now the head-to-head matchup, not as great, but he has not played Sacramento yet this year. These numbers are the last two plus years, last 2 or 3 years. He's hit 1 of his last 4 games, but again, remember, different role on the team at the time. He did hit this December 14th of 2022. He had 27 points. The last time they played in January of last year, he had 7. But again, different team. They had Fred VanVleet at the time. It was a different component. He had a different role. He has now emerged as like the top guy in this team, even past Siakam, I would say. So you got to take that into account. But overall, I do really like the Scottie Barnes prop. That's the reason why it's minus 230, over 17.5 points. That is the fourth and final leg of today's parlay. And if you look over to the right side of the screen here, guys, you will see our ticket for today, all 4 legs. And again, I do apologize if you are on the draft on FanDuel or MGM or anything like that. None of these props are available because most of them are alternate lines. I do take the alternate lines because they do give us a better chance of hitting. Comment down below if you don't like this, if you want me to take more risks and skip the alternate line, maybe take a little higher, because you could go higher. I mean, all 4 of these props are available, just not at this value. You can go ahead and take Saddiq Bey points and rebounds, but I believe the actual line is 20.5. But all of these props are available at a higher rate. You obviously, if you use the link in the description below and try out Outlier with a 7-day free trial, you can go ahead and look at those increased odds. You can see what the lines are if you increase them. Like, I'll just, for example, show you Saddiq Bey. You click over the alternate lines, over 20.5, and right here, FanDuel, minus 104, Caesars, minus 106, DraftKings, minus 110. So if you go a little higher, you see that it's available, but again, the trend changes a little bit, right? 5 of his last 10 games, you go to the last 20, 10 of the last 20. So it changes significantly when you do that, but it is an option. So again, try out Outlier, guys. Link in the description below, 7-day free trial. But here's our ticket, all 4 legs. When you parlay these 4 legs together, you get a parlay of plus 364 odds. All 4 guys, 90% hit rate in their last 10 games, plus 364 odds. Yeah, I'm going to ride with that. Win or lose, I'm going to ride with that. So guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. As always, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all next time with another NBA Player Prop Parlay. Until then, hope you're all winners.